Some mysteries in science are just so perfect, so tantalizing, that they stick around for decades. This is one of them. Back in 1977, a radio telescope picked up this incredible 72-second blast from deep space. It was so strange, so out of place, that the astronomer who discovered it just scribbled one word next to the data: wow. And all these years later, we still don't have a clue what it was. So let's dive into the story of the wow signal. So, picture this. It's August 15th, 1977. There's no fancy screen, no high-tech lab, just a clunky old computer printing out reams of paper. This is the Big Ear Radio Telescope, and it's just doing its thing, scanning the skies. And then out of nowhere, this bizarre string of characters gets printed out: 6EQJ5. Nobody knows it yet, but they've just captured one of the greatest puzzles in modern astronomy. And here's what makes it so mind-boggling. The entire event, the whole thing, lasted for just 72 seconds. That's it. It was like this brief, incredibly powerful whisper from the cosmos that was there one moment and gone the next. It actually took a few days for anyone to notice. An astronomer named Ehman was going through the printouts, and then he saw it. That sequence. He was so floored, he just circled it and wrote "wow" in the margin. See, he knew right away this wasn't just cosmic static. This was a clean, focused, narrowband signal, exactly the kind of thing you'd expect to see from, well, some kind of transmitter. So what exactly was this big ear that managed to catch the signal? Well, it wasn't your typical dish telescope. It was this massive, kind of weird-looking instrument, but it was perfectly designed to listen for faint whispers from deep space. I mean, look at this thing. It was an absolute behemoth, stretching across an area bigger than 3 football fields. And the wild part is, it didn't move. It was completely stationary. It just pointed up at the sky and used the Earth's own rotation to sweep across the cosmos, like a giant ear listening for, well, anything. The way it worked was actually pretty ingenious. Radio waves would come in from space, hit that giant flat reflector, and then get bounced over to a curved reflector. That curved mirror would then focus all that energy right into a super sensitive receiver. It was a really clever and cheap way to build a telescope with a massive collecting area. Okay, so let's get back to the 6EQJ5 code. I know it just looks like a random jumble of letters and numbers, but it's not. It's actually a really elegant way of showing how powerful the signal was. So here's the breakdown. Each character represents the signal's intensity. The numbers 1 through 9 are exactly what you'd think. But once the signal got stronger than 9, the computer started using letters. A meant 10 times stronger than the background noise, B was 11 times, and so on. Now look at that U right in the middle. That means the signal was a whopping 30 times stronger than the normal background static. No wonder Ehman wrote wow. And this is maybe the coolest part. When you actually plot those values on a graph, you get this: a perfect bell curve. The signal gets stronger, peaks, and then fades away. Now this is huge, because that's the exact signature you would expect to see as the telescope's view sweeps past a distant, fixed point in space. This screamed genuine signal from deep space. Now, as exciting as it is to jump to aliens, good science doesn't work that way. Scientists had to be detectives. Before they could even whisper extraterrestrial, they had to rule out every single possibility closer to home. And so, the investigation began. First step on the list of suspects: things in our own solar system, right? Could it be a planet, or maybe an asteroid or a comet that just happened to drift through the telescope's beam? That idea was shot down pretty fast. First off, astronomers checked the charts. There were no known planets or asteroids anywhere near that patch of sky. But more importantly, natural objects like that emit radio noise across a huge range of frequencies. Think of it like a floodlight. The wow signal was a laser beam, a narrowband signal, focused on one specific frequency. That's a huge telltale sign of technology. Okay, so if it's not a natural object, what about one of our own creations? Could it have been a satellite or even a high-flying airplane? They can definitely produce a focused, narrowband signal. Well, here's where that theory falls apart. The signal was at 1420 megahertz. Now, that frequency is known as the hydrogen line, and it's internationally protected for radio astronomy. It is forbidden for any earthly transmissions to use it. So not only were there no known satellites in that area, but if one had been broadcasting there, it would have been breaking international law. All right, so people got creative. What if it wasn't a direct signal? What if a radio signal from right here on Earth bounced off a random piece of space junk and just happened to reflect right into the telescope? This one is a real long shot. I mean, for this to explain that perfect bell curve, the piece of space junk would have to be moving in just the right way to perfectly mimic the rotation of the Earth relative to the stars. But space junk tumbles and orbits way too fast for that. The physics just don't add up. It's wildly improbable. So you see the problem. Once you've ruled out every plausible earthly explanation, that alien theory starts looking better and better. But there are a couple of really frustrating problems with the data itself that keep it a mystery. See, the Big Ear actually had two receivers, two horns, that scanned the same patch of sky just a few minutes apart from each other. So any real deep space signal should have been seen by the first horn, and then a few minutes later by the second horn. But the WOW signal only appeared in one. We don't even know for sure which one, which means we can't even nail down its exact location in the sky. And then there's this. This is maybe the most maddening part of the whole puzzle. It never happened again. Astronomers have pointed much more powerful telescopes at that same spot in the sky for decades, and they've heard absolutely nothing. Silence. It was a complete one-off, a ghost in the machine. So after you've gone through all the suspects, planets, satellites, space junk, and you've ruled every single one of them out, you're left with what remains, no matter how improbable it might seem. You're left with the one idea that made Jerry Ehman write, "Wow," in the first place. Think about it. The WOW signal checks pretty much every box for what we'd expect an alien beacon to look like. It was narrowband, a clear sign of artificial tech. Its profile showed it came from a fixed point in deep space. And it was right on that 1420 megahertz hydrogen line, which scientists call the water hole. It's the most logical, quiet frequency in the galaxy to send a message saying hello. And you know, even Dr. Ehman himself, the man who found the signal, came to this conclusion after years of study. He said that since every other explanation was either ruled out or seemed incredibly unlikely, he had to conclude that an extraterrestrial intelligence might have sent it. It was the only hypothesis left standing. And that's where we are today. For almost half a century, the WOW signal has remained the single best candidate we have for a signal from an extraterrestrial intelligence. It is the one tantalizing piece of data that we just can't explain away. So the signal itself was gone in a flash, just 72 seconds. But the mystery, that's lasted for decades. Was it some bizarre one in a trillion natural fluke we don't understand yet? Or was it a message in a bottle sent across the cosmic ocean that we just happened to overhear for a fleeting moment? We might never know for sure, but it's a powerful reminder that there are still huge mysteries out there, and just maybe, we're not alone.